Monday Night Raw, the 2-hour variety, went down in St. Louis, Missouri. The show starts with CM Punk, and immediately I was like, man, okay, because you guys know, if you were listening, I was saying yesterday, I don't want CM Punk coming out and being fine, and I don't want Drew McIntyre. Like, these guys need to sell the damages from this. And now, to that degree, CM Punk did a great job. He looked genuinely hurt and looked very uncomfortable. I thought it was a good promo to just like, okay, this is putting a real bow on this, and we're moving on now, and it's off. It's in the past, and I'm moving forward, looking for a championship and looking for a couple other things as well. So that I thought it did a good job of selling the injuries. It did a good job of just like, let's get this guy on TV, really show how much damage has been done, and now get him moving forward. And then you plant the seeds when Seth Rollins come out. So that is, I think, I thought it was a good use of time. And this was something they did throughout the show. And I think it was a way to kind of still get some of the storytelling done that you wanted to in 3 hours and do it in 2, where you had a crossover of Punk leaving and in comes Seth Rollins, and then they did it again with Jey Uso, and like you just had a lot of crossover with those guys at different times, and that helped to kind of string together a few different things, and also kind of visually pair up, all right, that guy with this guy with that guy over here, this and that. Like you did a good job of, I think, kind of mixing and matching all of those things together. So I thought that was a part of this show that they did really well. Seth Rollins comes out, he cuts a promo. It's a Seth Rollins promo. It's better than most promos you will see, but it doesn't get to the upper echelons of the epic promo doers of this generation. Like it was a Seth Rollins promo, and he challenged Bronson Reed to a match, and thusly they will have a match at some point soon, I am sure. The Intercontinental title match was good. It wasn't a blowaway match, but I don't think it should have been. When you have Jay, who is still like solidifying himself as the Intercontinental Champion and as an upper mid-card type of a performer, you don't need to have super competitive matches every night. And with the story that they are telling with Xavier Woods right now, I don't think this needed to be a 5-star drag him out classic. You give Xavier Woods a little bit of shine, and then Jay gets the win. And then after, Braun comes out, turns back into a monster. I thought that was really well done. And so there, again, in something that probably would have been 2 separate segments on a 3-hour show, they got over the Kofi and Xavier feud still in this match. They got Braun back to being a monster with this match. You got Jay a win. So you did a whole lot in just one segment. So I thought they did a really good job. We covered like 4 different things in the first like 30 minutes of the show. So I thought they did a good job with that. One of the things I didn't love was R-Truth coming in and saying, Miz, like, look, you forgot, I'm not in the Judgment Day anymore, and making it a bit of a jokey thing out of that. And I get we're hopefully fucking building to this thing of this being serious, but I thought it kind of took away from the turn last week that everyone saw coming, and was what it was. But I thought it took away from it a little bit. That Truth is like, oh man, you thought I was with the Judgment Day. And then Miz kind of gets it back on track, and that was fine. And now they're setting up a match, and the like our kids play together line I thought was an interesting one. And so I do wonder if we're going to start to see a little bit more seriousness out of this potentially, but it doesn't really have me. I thought we had a good pre-match promo with Sheamus and Pete Dunne setting up their match. I thought they did a really, really cool job. This one was a little old school in a lame way, like not old school in a, oh wow, this is Terry Funk and it's bleeding and it's all these different things. This was old school in a, remember that time there was like dog food and pumpkins and this guy wore a jack-o'-lantern, and it was that sort of like a SmackDown 2015 on a pre-taped Thanksgiving episode or something like that. They did end up having a good match out of it. It was a bit more serious than what they used to do with those sorts of things. Like the finish would have been like Pete Dunne drowning in booze or something like that. So this one, that they at least treated it with a little bit more seriousness. This was one of the ones where Joe Tessitore, I thought, went a little bit over the top on it. And I think his energy for big moments is really good. And I like him in boxing a lot. And maybe he was a little bit too 100% all the time for Monday Night Football. But I do think for the wild world of college football, he's pretty good at it as well. And for WWE, I think the emotion and the energy that he brings to big moments is actually really, really good. But when it's not actually a big moment and he's still going at it, it's a little like he called Sheamus's win over Pete Dunne in the Donnybrook Brawl a historic win for Sheamus. It's like, yeah, he got his hands zip tied, but this is a guy who's won multiple championships and was pursuing the Intercontinental title because he would have been a Grand Slam champion. So in terms of the historic nature of Sheamus's career, winning the Donnybrook Brawl on a Monday in October against Pete Dunne, it's probably not going to crack the top 50. So I thought that was where Joe Tessitore was maybe being just a little bit over the top. We had our, and what is probably going to be a more constant thing, get everybody on TV match, a 10-woman tag. It didn't advance anything. And this is, I think, going to be, honestly, that like these were the performers that I was wondering about when Raw got cut from 2 hours to 3. All 10 women in this match, you just worry about where are they going to fit. And we have seen just throwing different iterations of them out in matches every single week isn't going to build the storyline enough to get people to give a shit about any of this. So there needs to be a little bit more character development or any type of investment that is something other than, oh, they had a 6-minute match, check. That there needs to be a little bit something built into that, I believe. And then we get to the main event. It's Gunther taking on Sami Zayn. I thought this was a really, really good match. They are hindered by the fact that no one was taking it seriously, that Sami Zayn was going to beat Gunther. They're already promoting Gunther against Cody Rhodes for Crown Jewel as the Crown Jewel tournament to win the £8 billion belt. And so you couldn't take it seriously. Both put on a really, really good show. And obviously, like you get past this hurdle for Gunther now. You give Zayn a bit of plausible deniability that he never gave up. He just got choked out. And so maybe we get another Rocky montage or something with him. I do hope that there is... I hope that Sami doesn't just fall down the card now. We have done the booking to WrestleMania a couple of times on this show, and each time I have put Sami Zayn in the main event against Gunther again. I think that, like, obviously not the main event, they're Rock and Roman Reigns and Cody and Punk and all them, but in terms of being in the World Heavyweight Championship match, I think Sami Zayn has the claim to that right now, and I think you can build him kind of back up in kind of the way I wanted them to build up here, where he's actually winning matches and doing those things. I think you can build him back up into that challenger, so I'm very fascinated to see what they do next with him. But overall, like, Raw being 2 hours, flew by, man. You can zoom right through that thing. I thought it was a good show. I still think they hit a lot of the main beats, but the concerns about the kind of secondary and tertiary storylines, I think are warranted. And I think definitely there could be an improvement on that going forward.